sprang out of a tiny hackon. The FIFA World Cup, this tournament, has spread its branches and perhaps its roots into different parts of the world, touching lives, impacting cultures, inspiring generations, and creating legends. Yes, creating legends whose stories transcend even the event itself. Yet, behind the enthralling success story of FIFA World Cup stand great names. Names that envisioned, names that built, names that led, names that created, names that brought glamour and beauty into the game, names that reshaped and lifted the game to its present status. From visionary administrators to iconic referees to master tacticians to super talented players to brilliant commentators. These are names that re-echo across stadiums around the world. They re-echo across television stations, across television screens, across radio broadcasts, on the pages of newspapers and even books, and even in street conversations. These names will continue to re-echo and revibrate. And those are the names that we want to look at today on Name Vote. We want to look at great unforgettable names in FIFA World Cup history. It's another edition of your very engaging podcast. Our podcast, the one you know as Name Vote. You know that on this platform we do no other thing other than looking into names, digging into their meanings, looking into their social and cultural significance and background, looking into how well they are to be pronounced so that their meanings will not be lost. Just everything about names. Looking into the legacy and impact of names. That is all we do here. And you know that when we gather here together, we do no other thing other than looking into names. My name, you know, is Ademola Ben Cranston Adegoke. And together, we will travel into the world of names, digging up facts that probably you never knew before now. I know you'll be surprised, aren't you? See me in this form because you are used to seeing me wearing native attire and then analyzing names. But today, you can see me. Yes, the World Cup fever is right in the air. The FIFA World Cup fever is right in the air. And everybody, so many people are catching the bug. If you have not caught the bug, maybe it's because you are not a football fan. But even if you are not a football fan, I know that maybe someone close to you, a friend, a spouse, a relation, a colleague, will be a football fan that will have caught the bug. It's the FIFA World Cup season, and I have already caught the bug. So today, Name Vote is operating on a new level. Yes, we will still look into names, but we are not actually analyzing meanings of names the way you have always known. We are looking at names from a different angle. So once again, you are welcome. You are welcome to Name Vote. Yes, you know that in 4 years' time, just 4 years' time, the FIFA World Cup will be celebrating its centenary. Then it will have been 100 years of passion, 100 years of unbridled excitement and ecstasy, 100 years of unforgettable memories. That is what we will be celebrating just in 4 years' time. But then, within its 96 years of existence so far, you know that the FIFA World Cup has transformed from just being a mere sporting event to a global institution. What started in 1930 as an international sporting event has today transformed into a global institution, a towering global institution, a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, a source of national pride, a stage for political influence and diplomacy, and in fact, a spectacle that captivates and holds billions of people around the world spellbound. Like a mighty oak tree that sprang out of a tiny acorn, the FIFA World Cup, this tournament, has spread its branches and perhaps its roots into different parts of the world, touching lives, impacting cultures, inspiring generations, and creating legends. Yes, creating legends whose stories transcend even the event itself. Yet, behind the enthralling success story of FIFA World Cup stand great names. Names that envisioned, names that built, names that led, names that created, names that brought glamour and beauty into the game, names that reshaped and lifted the game to its present status. From visionary administrators to iconic referees to master tacticians to super talented players to brilliant commentators. These are names that re-echo across stadiums around the world. They re-echo across television stations, across television screens, across radio broadcasts, on the pages of newspapers and even books, and even in street conversations. These names will continue to re-echo and revibrate. And those are the names that we want to look at today on Name Vote. We want to look at great unforgettable names in FIFA World Cup history. Once again, you are welcome. Let's start looking at the names, those great names behind FIFA World Cup history. And the first of the names is a Frenchman called Jules Rimet. Jules Rimet was born in a French town called Thioli in the year 1873, 23rd of October specifically. He was the third president of FIFA and its longest serving president. He served from 1921 to 1954. Quite a long time. But impact, his legacy, is not just about the length of his service. It is what he gave to the world. The World Cup that we enjoy today was his idea. He initiated the first edition of World Cup that took place in Uruguay in 1930. And of course, as a matter of fact, the first version of the World Cup was named after him. It was first called Victory. That World Cup version was first called, the trophy was first called Victory. But in 1946, it was renamed after Jules Rimet. It was called the Jules Rimet Trophy because it was that initiated the idea of the World Cup. That World Cup was won for keeps by Brazil in 1970 when they won the cup 3 times. So the history of the World Cup as it is today will be incomplete without the mention of Jules Rimet. Another unforgettable name that we're going to look at is a man called Silvio Gazzaniga. You know that for every tournament, especially a tournament of the level of the FIFA World Cup, there must be a trophy. There must be a trophy. When in 1970, the Brazilian team, the Brazilian national team, won the cup for keeps, a new trophy had to be designed. So FIFA, through the competition for entries for a new design, opened so many entries, and at the end of a very rigorous selection process, the entry of an Italian sculptor called Silvio Gazzaniga was chosen as the best design. It is a 6.17 kilogram trophy, an 18-karat gold trophy, and the cost of which is valued at about $250,000. Gazzaniga designed the trophy, and since 1974, each time the FIFA World Cup is won and the captain of the victorious team lifts up a trophy, it is the work of Silvio Gazzaniga that is being lifted up. What an unforgettable name in World Cup history. We go to the next name. The next country we want to look at is the country that you know as the land of Samba. You know the country I'm talking about. The history of World Cup will be incomplete without a mention of this country, Brazil, because it was the first country to win the cup 3 times. It was also the first country to win it for 5 times. It was the first country to win the cup for keeps. I'm talking of Brazil. Brazil, apart from winning the trophy more than every other country, Brazil is also noted for bringing into the game of football free-flowing, entertaining playing pattern named as tiki-taka. You cannot talk of World Cup today because it is also the only country that has not missed out in a single edition of the World Cup. It is the only country that has participated in all the editions of World Cup from 1930 till date. So how can you talk about the World Cup without a mention of Brazil? The Brazil is an unforgettable name in the history of World Cup. We are going to look at another unforgettable name in FIFA World Cup history. He was the first person to win the cup both as a player and as a coach. He won the cup in 1958 and 1962, and he won the cup in 1970 as a coach. I'm talking of Mario Jorge Zagalo. As a matter of fact, he was one of the most decorated football figures as far as FIFA World Cup is concerned, because he won the cup as a player, as a coach, and as an assistant coach, and even as a coordinator 4 different times. So he's a well-decorated figure in FIFA World Cup history. In 1992, FIFA awarded him the FIFA Order of Merit, which is the highest honor that can be bestowed on any individual by FIFA. So you cannot talk of the history of World Cup without the name of Mario Jorge Zagalo. His players, on account of his depth, of his technical depth of the game, his players referred to him as professor, truly a professor of the game, Mario Jorge Zagalo, an unforgettable name in the history of FIFA World Cup. The next name that you are going to see will surprise you, but this man's name deserves a place in FIFA Hall of Names as far as the African perspective is concerned. I know you will wonder, did he ever play football? What will bring him into this list of unforgettable names in FIFA World Cup history? That is, so many people will wonder what qualifies him to be in this list. But when you remember that the World Cup had been played for 80 years before it could be hosted on an African soil, and that it was his influence that brought the World Cup to be hosted on the African soil for the first time, you will agree with me that this man deserves a place in FIFA Hall of Names. I'm talking of the one that is known as the Madiba, Nelson Mandela. For the first time in 80 years, the African continent hosted the World Cup in 2010, and it was due to the influence of one man, the iconic Nelson Mandela. His larger-than-life influence and image influenced the concession of the hosting right to South Africa in 2010. And so the only World Cup that has been hosted on African soil till date was influenced by Nelson Mandela. And so from an African perspective, when we talk of names, unforgettable names in FIFA World Cup history, we can talk of Nelson Mandela. It's a long list of names, so there is no way we can exhaust the list in one single episode of the Name Vault. So today, we will just pause I'm not saying that we are closing. Yes, Name Vault will close just temporarily, because next episode we will also resume with more unforgettable names. Don't forget that the World Cup will be on for 6 whole weeks. So if we dedicate 2-3 episodes of Name Vault to unforgettable names, great names, like I've said, names that built, names that envisioned, names that led, names that created. On this podcast, we lay no claim to any form of perfection, neither do we lay any form of claim to monopoly of knowledge. We just look at names and then as far as we can understand them, and then we give our perspectives. If you have anything that can enrich what we are doing, we are so open. We welcome you with open arms to take your contribution. And I always say that, that behind, every name has a meaning, every name has a heritage, and in every name is a compressed history, in every name is a compressed spirituality, and in every name is a compressed worldview. Have you discovered yours? If you haven't, please do and treasure it. And your name is an invaluable asset. Please protect and guard it so jealously. You can come put it in a vault. Till next time, when we continue on this analysis of unforgettable names in FIFA World Cup history. My name is Ademola Ben Cranston Adegoke. So long.